Hey friends, and welcome to part 2 of me trying to make a Victorian corset. As I mentioned in my last video, I'm using Truly Victorian's late Victorian corset pattern, TV110. Kind of already read through a little bit of the instructions, and essentially you have to insert the busk, which is what this video will be about. You take your front pieces, the front panel, and you take the right sides together. This loop part of the busk is supposed to be on the right hand side of the corset, and the part with the knobs should be on the left. I've already gone ahead and measured out 1/2 inch on either end of the corset, lined up my busk, and I traced out with my handy dandy little white marking pencil where the gaps are in the busk. So now I'm going to take it to my sewing machine, and basically it's just, you know, following the line that you drew. It's that easy. It just takes patience. So I've already sewn through, so I'm just going to go ahead and take my pins out. What I'm going to have to do now is press the seam open, right, and then I can go ahead and stick the busk right in. Alright, so I've pressed the seam open and making sure that my busk is right side up. I'm just going to insert little pieces. I mean, I guess it takes a little bit of finagling, but I'll get it. Ta-da! And that is how you insert a busk. Yay! Then you need to encase it so that it doesn't go anywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin it in place. Really, really tight up against the edge. Like that. When I put it through the sewing machine, I'm going to be using my zipper foot, so that I can really get the needle close to the edge of the busk without hitting the needle on it and potentially breaking it and poking my eye out. Okay. Alright, so now we just are really careful putting it through the sewing machine. I'm gonna just removing pins as you go and just going really slowly. Now another thing that I'm doing is I have white thread as my main thread, but my bobbin thread is actually a dark green, so that on the lining side of the fabric you won't be able to see it, or, you know, it won't be as noticeable. But that's just my own personal preference. You can actually go with a contrasting color and make the thread stand out as a decorative element. And that's it. But yeah, so now that it's not going anywhere, and on the back side it got the matching thread, so you can't really see it. It looks all nice and professional and clean, and oh, I'm really loving, even though this is just the front panel, I'm loving the way this is turning out so far. So yay, really excited. Okay, so left side of the busk. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the other front panels and you're going to pin them right sides together. Seam allowance here is 1/2 inch. Now once both sides are sewn together, you're going to want to press the seam allowance over to the right side. So towards the lining. Right, and I guess the best way to line up the holes to make for this side is just to line this up, making sure that the edge is over the seam that you just made. The edges are lining up properly, and you just kind of mark, making sure that it's right side up. Usually it's where the knobs are closest to the edge is where you want to line it up. So that's right side up. And you take your awl and you just work it into the markings you made. Now you want to try not to break the stitching or like the weave of the fabric. You're just kind of pushing the threads aside that you can slide the busk knobs in. So this also takes a bit of finagling because you're not breaking the threads, they will move back in place if the knobs aren't inserted quickly enough. Or there we go. Well, that's one. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest. Now, if you do end up breaking the threads, that is not like a huge problem at all. You just need to take some fray check and put it around where you think you broke the threads after you've inserted the busk. I have to say, this does get easier the more you do it. Honestly, this is the second time I've ever installed a busk. The first time it was just for practice, and I didn't really make a corset out of it or anything. It was so much more intimidating in my mind than it actually was. It's so much more simple, and it's a lot easier than you think it is. So my suggestion or advice to you would be, you know, buy a cheap busk on eBay, give it a shot. I always say it's all about research, and the more you're prepared mentally to do it, I feel like the better results you'll get. And there you go. The knob part of the busk is installed. So now you just do the same thing that you did with the other side of the busk, where you pin it really close to the edge, use a zipper foot, and sew it in. Okay, so here we are sewing the knob side of the busk in. Again, just go really slowly using your zipper foot, removing pins as you go. And there you have it. Now this side of the busk is permanently in place. Looks really great. I'm very proud of how this turned out. Let's see what they look like together. Oh, that looks perfect. I'm so excited. Well, then that means the next step is putting the rest of the corset together. All right, see you in part 3.